Yes, officially this evening, it's 5 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. The time now is 5 p.m. I'd like to begin with a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. Correspondence?
No.
Okay. I do have something that it's not necessarily correspondence. We'll discuss that. I do have a quote for a cheese fire truck, but that was a correspondence. So I just want to let you guys know. We'll talk about it in a minute. I move that we approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes from March 5th, 2024. And any discussion? Seeing none, no prayer minds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Second, seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Okay. First Selectmen report. Not going to go into anything long, but just a couple big things. You might have seen we had Sean Scanlon, which is a state comptroller, in last week. He was visiting some of our businesses in town. They're pushing a program called My Connecticut Savings. Basically, it's a way to get folks who otherwise don't have a retirement program into a Roth IRA. Good program for businesses. Tell folks, take a look at it. It's privately run. The state doesn't actually run it, so there's no way they can come in and sweep the funds or anything like that. And it's really geared towards small businesses so they don't have retirement plans. We had a grant that some time ago we accepted for the senior center with respect to replacing their kitchen. Kitchen looks great, and as I know about in the hall, she went into the contractor. Really, the only thing they have to finish now are some floor things and some backsplash. But it looks superb, and the friends of the senior center actually purchased 2 refrigerators for them, which was their addition. So we're going to have one of those extra refrigerators they had that's still working over in the staff lounge upstairs. This weekend was the flag raising, Irish flag raising, always a big fun thing in the morning on Saturday. Went well, but it's getting smaller every year. I didn't want to report on that. And I think coming up, I will say there's an event coming up soon that everybody should watch out for. We don't have to go, but I'm going because I've been invited, called the Unified Prom. So what's happened is, we have unified sports where we have folks who have special needs compete with let's say a regular kid or a kid with no needs. And now they're going to have a unified prom this year, first ever that we think's ever been done. So you'll hear more about that over the upcoming week or so. So otherwise, as far as priorities go, we're going to get the charter revision started here, hopefully in maybe the next regular meeting. We'll talk about that. And then you'll start seeing kind of a flurry of the ordinances over the summer that we need to work on. We're going to try to do them as batches the best we can. But this way we can have, one town meeting, one vote, that kind of thing. Last up, actually that's it for the report for today. Any questions, anything? Good overview, I hope. First up, unfinished business. First thing on the docket here is a consideration of purchase of fire apparatus. I did hand you, obviously this is not only the ladder truck, which we've been talking about, but the Fire Commission has been, knocking around, what we could do for a chief's vehicle. We talked about this. It came in very, very high before, 120,000, 101,000. We've come back to the Fire Commission after conversations with some of the members on the Board of Finance. They were looking at, area of 60,000, which I think is pretty unworkable. What you have before you is a quote from a company in Long Island that what they do is they go ahead and they buy these vehicles and they outfit them. And that way it's almost like having it in stock, right? It's not something we have to go out and upfit. It's Long Island. They take their fire trucks pretty seriously. They're definitely nice. The thing that's different that what the Fire Commission may have been looking at, it's not just stock vehicle right off the lot. Supposedly I shouldn't say supposedly. They do have police packages. They have all that, the suspension, everything needed, I think, in a reasonable chief's vehicle. Now, what I have before us did not come through the Fire Commission. But I just think this is an example of probably where we need to go. This one specs out at $73,500, and we're probably looking at $1,100 to $1,500 for the radio transfer from Norcom. So I bring this up because it's probably something we want to talk about if we want to send the Fire Commission, back to the drawing board. One thing we could do is send in with this right away and have them look at it. We could act on it ourselves if we wanted to. We have the chair of the fire commission here. I just wanted to kind of throw it out because I think realistically, we're looking at a $70,000 to a $75,000 vehicle from everybody I've spoken to. What are your thoughts?
I'd like to make a motion that we refer it back to the fire commission for their review, and I don't know, has the, I don't think, first we saw it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Chief Baker has.
Chief Baker's seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we discuss it before we refer it to them?
Yeah, we should. Yep. We can discuss the motion. So motion on the table, I'll second the motion before discussion, before we refer it.
The thing that strikes me right off the bat is this is police interceptor, which is a smaller SUV as compared to the Tahoe. Or I don't know. Again, I'm not a fireman. I was many years ago, but I was in emergency services for 27 years. I mean, pretty small vehicle. I don't know. I mean, I would have been interested, like, if they broke down everything for us, so we knew.
Yeah.
What were you charging? Because
So
Sure.
this, I asked him about that, and he said it really doesn't matter because I'm not willing to compromise. I'm not willing to change. This is my design, my light package, and I said, okay.
yeah, I'm not asking them to compromise anything. Well, my only concern is that, I drove a police interceptor for many years. It's a small vehicle. You're not gonna fit, maybe you get two big guys in the back and two in the front. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a very small vehicle, and I don't know if they're that much cheaper than the Tahoe on state bid. I don't really know what
Yeah,
the
for this
difference in
guy,
terms of
For this
price.
guy, it was, for a Tahoe, it was what, 82 or something like that? If I
It was.
could. Actually, not, let's get him finished first. Go ahead, chief. You're ready.
I did get a quote from them. They do Tahoes as well. Again, it was completely outfitted, turnkey ready, minus radios. And he came up with a spec of 85,000. I said,
Okay.
That's great, but the box, that organizer box that you put in the back is not conducive to what I'm looking for. He says, well, I can take the box out. I can put it into another Tahoe. If you want the vehicle without the box, they're about 2,500 for me, that particular box. There's not a lot of customization in that particular box. He says, so that was 82.5.
Okay.
Again, I was asking, well, can we take this off? Can we change that? What about this? He says, nope. He says, that's my design. That's the way it is. I'm
Yeah,
not making any
fully
changes.
spec'd
The
out.
price is,
Okay.
it is what it is. I agree with you 100%. That is very small, but I was told that that's not an option. An Explorer or a Chevy equivalent, a Traverse, or possibly a Durango. It's the most that I could get. And I had a cap on a price of $60,000. So I was staying focused on an Explorer only because the police interceptor package is what they do make consoles for, boxes for.
You're talking about the Havas?
The Havas, correct.
I mean, and again, I'm not gonna interject myself 100% here in terms of your decision, but I think it would be very interesting to contact a company like MHQ or one of those and find out, hey, how much is the Tahoe on the state bid? How much is the police interceptor on the state bid? Durango, I mean, that's your decision. I'm not a huge fan. How much is the Ford Explorer, which is a fairly, nice vehicle, and just find out what the base of the vehicle costs.
I mean, the only thing that I can speak on is after talking with Chief Bubner, he said it was about $2,000 more for the Tahoe over the Explorer. When you buying them for the police car.
But this is my point. I mean, if it's 2,000 more for a Tahoe, we're being kind of, what is it called? Whatever, pound wise, penny foolish or something like that. $2,000 for a Tahoe seems like a no-brainer because I know the Tahoes, are beautiful vehicles. They're proven. I think the Explorers are a little bit more. At least they were inching up there. But I mean, it would be helpful to say, this is how much. So do you know the exact amount to buy a Tahoe? How much is the Tahoe?
Very close.
58.
So you're telling me a Ford Interceptor now is 56?
47.5.
Well, he said the Tahoe was 2001. That's why I'm saying,
The information I have.
right,
State bid price.
but this is what I'm trying to say is if you call MHQ, there's no,
Yeah.
there's no worrying about it. This is
Yeah.
all these guys do. MHQ, all they do is sell to municipalities.
So here's kind of the rub. I mean, obviously, we just bought Tahoes from the town for less than 50. We did just do that recently.
They were 40 something, 46,000 a piece.
Something like that, 47 maybe. So here's the issue I think that's really been coming forward is that we've tried to set a number of 60 to 65 on one of these. I don't think they can get there. At the same time, we need to find a reasonable number that gets us, I mean, a decent light package, nothing crazy, gets the things we need, and it can't be a $100,000 vehicle. I think this is an example, at least, of the ballpark. So we should be shopping.
So based on my experience, if you spent 47,000 on a Tahoe.
Yeah.
20,000,
No, that's.
you can't equip a vehicle for 20,000 without a problem. I mean, lettering's only gonna cost you 1,500. You know, what are you spending for lettering? 1,500 if that?
I know when I talked to, Precision in Ridgefield, they were leaving a generous, quote of like 2,500 for
Yeah.
lettering and decals and chevrons on the back.
You know, if you go direct to the guy, I mean, you know, he's gonna give you whatever number. I mean, when we were doing police cruises, again, this was 3 years ago, I think I was spending like $1,400 to do a police car. And we had chevrons on the back and we had really nice stickers on them. I mean, I guess my point is that just because one company said this is what it's gonna cost, doesn't make it reality. There's a lot of companies out there that do this. I mean, you have Fleet, you have Utility Communications, you have Kim Rinder's Specialty Warning Systems over there in Danbury. There's numerous companies that equip these vehicles. And if the Tahoe is $47,000, I think a $20,000 budget is very reasonable to equip a vehicle. And if you're telling me you can't equip a vehicle for 20,000, I'd like to see what exactly you are trying to equip it with, and I'll help you, and I will call people and find out, you know, based on my contacts in that.
So these guys have been working hard, going back and forth on prices and all that. And I know when we spoke last, we said what the Board of Finance felt, and that's not doable at 60.
Right, but if they could just come back with the price of the Tahoe, the real price, I mean,
Real price, okay.
Steve Pugner's buying them for 40, it was 46,000 when we bought them.
Well, he said
47.
50.
I saw 58. but
I can't be that much.
I could be mistaken.
That's not, a-
That'd be 40.
I haven't
48 would make sense on the
Yeah,
state.
I know.
bid.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Explorers were 47.5 for certain.
If it's 48,000,
Then it's a no-brainer.
I mean,
It's at the top. That's obvious.
I would hope that you would agree with me that 20,000 is quite a
Yeah, I
bit to
think if you
outfit.
keep the, price
Outfit.
of outfitting around $20,000, regardless of the price of the vehicle, because obviously the Tahoe's gonna be a little more than the Explorer, then that should be doable.
Right, I just don't want to set a price until we know how much the top.
No, I got you.
Right, that's
Yeah,
all.
I got
That's
you.
all I want to.
No, but I think we're in a good place here. with
I
where we're going.
absolutely agree that, I mean, we're talking $70,000 as opposed to.
Well, I'm talking 68.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking.
You might be talking 70, I'm saying
Okay, all right.
68.
We're talking-
You-
we're
You're in the
talking
ballpark,
68.
you know?
That's a lot, it's more reasonable than 60. I mean, 60 was just, it wasn't gonna be doable.
Well,
Understand.
again, let's just find out how much the Tahoe costs, and then we can figure
I mean,
it out.
you know, we were talking 60, I mean, that's putting them in a, you know, a civilian, you know, duty Explorer, which is not practical to outfit because it comes with this, you know, floor shift console and, you know,
Sure.
it just doesn't make sense to. I think that's.
We're on track.
Yeah, you know, I like to see the bigger vehicle because it's going to carry more equipment in it than the small SUV. And you know, I want to thank the finance department for considering the allocation of the money for it. But these are the guys who go out there every day and respond to these calls. They know what they need. And I don't want to say that the finance department, don't know what they need.
And we're correct, we're talking about the Board of Finance.
Yeah, the board of
Perhaps, okay.
finance, yeah, not the finance.
Right, I just want to make sure
department,
for the
board of
record, we're not
finance.
only the Finance Department.
These are the guys that go out 24/7 a day to respond to these calls, and I find it hard for them to dictate a certain price. I know it needs to be in a range,
Mhm.
but not, this is the dollar amount we're willing to spend.
Understood?
Yeah, that's all.
I think we're willing to compromise.
Yeah.
Richie, but
Yeah.
I guess my point is when you look at our capital list, we have to
Yeah.
really,
They'll
rein in and like I said, if it came down to buying a Ford Interceptor, I wouldn't want that for that. But maybe you don't need a push bar on the front of a fire vehicle because it's there for convenience to put lights, which you can tuck behind the grill very easily. There's ways we could bring this in where maybe you don't get your dream vehicle, but you get a very nice functional vehicle. So that's where I'm at, Rich. And it's not.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree that,
I don't want to
the
vilify
109
anyone.
was
We all are
outrageous,
looking
but-
for the town's best interest.
Right.
That's
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that the Tahoe's proven in fire service too. I mean, Chief McCollum's been running it for.
Tahoe, Explorer, they're both very nice vehicles. for
Just
sure.
one other note I would like to make is one issue that John's been running into with the, he's looking at the Explorer is there's no 24s available.
Sure.
And the 25 bid, state bid pricing hasn't been released yet. So you couldn't get an accurate price. I don't know what he's gonna run into with the Chevy. That's gonna be the same case.
Who
We'll
who
find
did
out.
you call about the 24 wasn't being available?
For which the Explorer,
Yes.
generous.
Generous, Hartford.
There's a guy named Vic Solai who might probably have a couple of them on his lot over there. I think it's up in West Haven. I can reach out and find out. whether they have-
Check with the chief too. He's had great luck
Yeah.
in Tahoe's.
No, they're saying Explorer.
Oh, okay.
2024
Yeah,
Explorer.
For,
Yeah.
Chevys, I've been going up to Torrington
Why Torrington? Why not?
because they're on the state bid.
What about Ingersoll right in your backyard? That's where the chief got
They're
him.
not on the, state bid. I mean, if they're willing to
Really?
lower the price comparable to the
Okay.
state bid, then that's an option.
Yeah,
But
that's been my experience with Ingersoll in the past is they're not on the state bid list,
Really?
but they'll match it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So I know the chief has been getting vehicles through them at state bid price.
Yeah, I mean, look, if a local dealership will give you the same price as MHQ, it makes sense because when you have warranty work, it's just, they're much more apt to help you out than if you buy it in Torrington and you say, well, you're closer, I want you to fix the car. We'll see you in a month. So, but let's find out what the state bid is. And if you want, I can reach out to a couple of people who I'm still in contact with and find out what the deal is with the Tahoes and the
I mean,
Explorers.
we just watched something with the police department. I'm gonna talk a contact on whatever, if the availability. is
Well,
out there.
the thing is some of
Do we have to
these,
go to New Hampshire to get some?
I don't.
some of these companies will buy, like,
Yeah.
there's a guy like, he buys a lot of them, right? On the state bid. So he actually buys them and he stocks them. A lot of dealerships don't want to stock state bid vehicles because, they're sitting on their lot and they're,
Well, that's how you have that quote in front of you.
Yeah.
The owner, he says, I bought these trucks or those Explorers months and months ago. They finally just came in.
well, that's not an Explorer, that's an Interceptor. The difference between the Interceptor and the actual Ford Explorer.
Right, yeah, you have the police
Ford
package
Explorers.
or the civilian package.
Well, Ford Explorer 2 is much bigger than the Interceptor. I think it's a
Really?
little, I think so.
I didn't know that. I thought it was Explorer.
I don't know, the Interceptors I drove had two
Yeah.
two
it's a
seats.
model.
There was
Yeah.
no 3 seats, nothing like that. It was
Well, what do you
two
put? What do you put the person in the back?
Just throw them in the back. And there was 2 rows. There was a cage and someone sitting behind us.
Yeah.
Well, that quote that I had gotten for just an Explorer from Gengrass was a civilian Explorer, which had third row seating. It
Right.
had a floor shifter, a dial shifter. He says, when
Yeah.
I went to the upgrade, he says, I really can't do anything for this. Plus,
I
it doesn't have
understand.
the electrical upgrade to handle the lighting package.
When you get home, just Google MHQ.
I already called them today.
Oh.
I'm just waiting for a quote back.
Okay, but they said they could get them, right?
Well, Well, I don't know. They didn't call me back. I literally left them a voice message and they haven't returned my call.
Oh, Connecticut?
Middletown, correct.
Okay, good.
Okay, seeing that technically a motion on the floor to refer this, we're not actually referring this per se.
Well, just give them the information.
Well,
Yeah.
we've already kind of
And
discussed.
they, we can compare it
Yeah.
and stuff.
I mean, I don't know if there's a
with the other
reason
members.
to go to refer anything, because
Just come back with the
so
information.
we'll just dispense with the
Make it
motion.
available, make it available to the.
Yeah.
All right.
They
I'll
gave
bring
it to me.
I'll,
They give it to me.
oh,
The chief gave it to us when asked. I'd heard he had it, so I called him, or I texted him and,
All right, well, then I'll withdraw my motion.
okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay, so, as part of this discussion is the, purchase of the ladder truck. So where do we kind of stand with everybody's thought on the, ladder truck upcoming referendum? My thoughts would be that we do need to get it on the referendum. In a way that the language reads that it gives the comptroller and us the time to approve it. So if it goes out there and we find something that's a stock vehicle and comes back to the board of selectmen through the fire commission to sign off on it. And there's no necessary time frame when it's going to be, but we know it's going to be in the next year. So I've talked to Brad a little bit about it, that we can work on whatever the language would be, but you know, we would have to assign a number to get on the referendum. And we do have to do that if we want to be on the referendum, unless we want to delay a little bit and then just have a second referendum over the summertime.
Well,
We can
I
do
mean,
that.
Let's try to do it.
I'd rather do it all together.
Yeah.
I have a question for
Yeah.
the chief. Chief, you kept basically looking that you really wanted to order your truck.
Yes.
So my question is the public safety going to be affected? Because I was at your guys' presentation for the fire study. If we agree, you know, and this is going to be based on you, I'm not the fire chief. But all I kept hearing was, this is an exigent circumstance. We need this thing, But our meetings together, it was like, well, I really want to order one. So you tell me, if we said we're willing to order a truck that we understand is going to take 2.5 years
Mhm.
to come in, 4 years. We know it's going to take 4 years to come in or 3 years to come in, whatever it ends up being. Okay. Are we putting Bethel's public in danger? That's my question.
I would say no, they're not being put in danger. Could the ladder truck enhance and speed the process of a fire extinguishment or a rescue? Yes. So I don't.
I'm just confused.
Anytime you buy something that's going to improve your
No, we don't have it right now, right?
right, correct.
And my question is it such an exigent circumstance for you to have it that we have to find a stock one that's available when it comes up? Or do you feel comfortable with the fact that South Street has one right now that's operable? Brookfield, I don't even know how many ladder trucks. Brookfield has 2 ladder trucks. Danbury has, I know, one that's in service. I don't know if the other one's in service. Newtown, I'm pretty sure has, 4 ladder trucks. So you have all these fire departments surrounding you that have ladder trucks. I mean, do you think there's like, if we decided to purchase one via an order, do you think it's possible that you would have mutual aid agreements with these people that until you have your fire truck in place, they're going to respond to, you know, whether it's a fire alarm at a residential call structure, which aren't finished yet?
We already have that now. I've
Okay.
got a confirmation from Brookfield. You call us, we'll come.
Okay.
But
You can say whatever you want.
the problem with that is when they show up, depending on how long, depends on where their placement is in front of the building. That's why my point is to get it now. If we can get one in next month, that they have one built already and we could put it in the line that truck's pulling out of the bay. It's the first thing across the street. It's the first thing up the road. That's the point of it. And calling Brookfield or Danbury or Newtown, by the time they get there, they're not going to be anywhere near the building. They're going to be bringing hand ladders up and just throwing hand ladders.
I would agree with you on a structure fire at a residence. I mean, if you look at those parking lots in those buildings that I'm worried about, you know, I mean, I think they're pretty big parking lots over there. Maybe I'm wrong, you know. But listen, I don't want to get into a debate. It's just the chief kept indicating to me numerous times that he wanted to order a fire truck. So for me to be at that point where I can say that I would be in favor of, you know, looking at ordering a truck, knowing that it would be here 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road. I just want to make sure that you feel comfortable that you're going to be able to adequately protect the citizens of Bethel in the meantime.
Right, we'll continue to protect the same way we are now by calling for the mutual aid. We'll use the resources that we have, the ground ladders that we have. Obviously, Bethel is going to be called simultaneously. They're going to be coming to the scene. You know, as Doug pointed out, that the apparatus placement is going to be dictated on how far into the incident you are based on when they come, and if we can still maneuver them in to be working efficiently or work at all from that. But I think the sooner we get one ordered, the sooner we can stop this price increase.
Well, that's my issue is that if we order one, we're going to have significant price increases over what we would pay for one now.
When we were talking with the dealer
Yeah.
from Pierce, he says they have a built-in 1.25% increase per quarter.
That you're waiting,
Now, once you
order
sign
it, the
contract,
price is
that's-
locked.
That's not-
Once you sign that contract.
It's not lots.
Yeah, it was locked at 5%.
Right.
Once you sign the.
That's the material cost
So-
increases.
Let's go through that again. Go ahead.
What's the likelihood that they can tell you that some other trucks are available, like the one that,
I will know probably the one that there's one coming out in April that'll be getting built in April, the one that we were discussing before. I will know probably the second week in April if there's going to be another one for May similar to that being built.
so if we had a dollar amount that we could put on a referendum, we could possibly
We could possibly
purchase
get
that
truck
truck
in May.
in late April.
Yes. That's where we have to have the dollar amount, but we could also order. But I'm all for seeing if we could just go with the gamble of seeing if they're gonna have one in May.
Mhm.
He calls me in May and says, Doug, I'm gonna have this truck available in May. It's 1.7 million or whatever. We have the money already allocated. It's already been voted on. We could sit down with Dan and Brian and yourself and say, this is what we want. Do we have the okay to go with this? This guy's willing to sit in the lady's office when the papers are released, and yes, we want it. Stony Hill wants the truck, it's sold.
So going back to the question about if we order one and we order one now,
It's 4 years from
it's
there.
4 years. Understand that.
It's-
And by the way, we got another ladder truck in town for 3 years.
Yep.
Ish. So but I want to know the cost. Like, so when we had that conversation, it does go up every year.
It's capped at, was
I
it?
thought it was 5% once
It's
we ordered.
5%. So there's two
I thought it was
different
more
cost
than that.
increases that we're talking about here. The guaranteed cost of the vehicle is going up 1.25% every quarter. Now,
75%.
once you sign the contract, the increases is going to be material cost increases as you're waiting to build this vehicle. Okay, and then they look at the material price index. If it is below 5%, they eat the cost. If it goes above 5%, then the town would have to eat that cost,
No matter what.
no matter what.
So if material costs went up 14%, we're on the hook
They'll be
for
towards 5 and you're on the hook,
9.
about the 9% increase.
So that's the issue. is we can-
That's a problem. because
That's a
you-
problem.
if-
I mean,
And then we have to go
this is
back to the
whenever
town
you,
and ask for money and, yeah.
And that's a problem a lot of towns are running into, because now, this is now, it's now an industry standard thing.
Well,
amongst
yeah.
all
Seagrave is going to say, you need
manufacturers.
another, $250,000 because of material cost increases. Well, we can't come up with that. You signed a contract. Well, too bad. You go over there, you don't get a truck.
So the last truck was 1.6 or 1.7.
168, I think it was, that demo that we were looking at. Great.
All right, so
That
that
was 168.
It was
so
168.
the one that would possibly that could come out in May is going to be over 1.7.
Well, no, 1% of 1.68, right, would be $16,800, right? If it's going up 1%.
Well, if it's a linear, what it actually goes up in cost versus what they just
Well, they
automatically.
said they have it built
Keep in mind,
in.
too, is we
Yeah,
don't know
you're right.
exactly what the spec is going to be of the truck that's coming off the line. So it
Understood.
may have different features, different design.
Yeah.
It-
And it might be cheaper than the what?
Yeah.
It may be cheaper, maybe
The
more.
1.8 was what I said though, just to
I
put it
understand.
out to the public and then.
We're also, understand too, we're looking at cash flow. We're looking, I mean, ahead, obviously it's a Board of Finance's determination of how we're gonna pay for it. But we know we have a couple of things that we're looking at putting on the, the agenda to buy, and we're just looking at the best way to do cash flow. Whether we do it now, whether we order it, if we order it, it's gonna be a lot more money down the line.
So the
Yeah.
advantage of ordering, you're gonna get what you are ordering.
Right.
The bad news is you're waiting for 4 years. You at least have a locked-in price for the cost of the truck, unless the cost of material goes up, so then there's that variable. But this, trying to take the gamble of winning a truck on a demo, it's a hit or miss. And if you lose, now you still have to wait that much longer to get a truck.
Well,
You gotta wait that much longer with price
Yeah.
increases. And when you are trying to get one from a demo, you are risking the fact that they may be building one that's totally outside of that vision that you had. Like, for instance, we were looking for a single axle statement, and the next one that comes out may be a bucket with a tandem axle that's 10 feet longer and not what we were looking for.
But there are a bunch of manufacturers that all have trucks on the line.
That's what
And
I'm trying
here's
to
what we're doing. We're saying, we're gonna give a budget, perhaps, if we do it this way.
Right.
We're gonna give you a budget, and we're gonna stay between, let's say we do 1.8 or 1.7. That's your budget. That's it. End of story. You find what you need in the budget. Because the other part of this is now we're on the hook for something 3 years out, and we don't even know what it's gonna be. And by the way, we're probably gonna have to come back and do another town meeting as we get close to it, because we don't know what that number's gonna be. Like, we can guess and say it's gonna be 2.1, 2.2,
So what
whatever.
that's saying is that there isn't a possibility of ordering.
Well, that's what we're determining right now.
We want a motion to
Not yet. We're just-
allocate.
I just want
money
to,
to
let's just keep
1.8.
discussing it before.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable putting a dollar amount on this yet. until we have
So-
a better understanding. What was the truck you spec'd out? How much was that?
The one that we spec'd out was what, 1.5.
Yeah, that already went up there.
Right, and obviously from the one that we spec'd out versus that demo.
Yeah.
Well, the one you spec'd out, what's the cost of that today?
I don't
You
know.
should- you probably
I
have
believe it
right
was
there.
1.78,
No,
right?
that was the demo.
Was it? I thought the demo was one.
The demo was 1.7.
The one that we built and had, for the,
Brian's got it, that's what it was.
The demo was
The demo was
1.78.
more.
Yeah,
The demo was 1.78. I remember.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you. The demo was 1.7. How much is the truck you spec'd out? That's what we want. That's what I'm asking. Like, what is the truck spec'd out? What's the cost of that? To order it.
Back then, that was what, 1.6.
Back then, how long?
How many years ago was that?
It wasn't. This was. Well, 2 months ago we went there.
Right.
Okay.
It was out for the-
Oh, it's it. There you go.
It was 1.6 2 months ago.
Just like more than that. So
I
that was,
remember the demo was 1.78. I do remember that.
for some reason, I think they're backwards, but I know one of them was
I think
1.7.
The demo was
One of
1.78.
them was 1.68 and one was 1.72. I forget which one was which now.
I know the demo was more expensive than
Was it more?
it was.
I thought it was a little less. But
I
that's
thought
okay.
it was more.
Too bad we don't have that in front of us.
I'm pulling the emails up there.
Do we have it in the minutes, Mary?
I can go check.
Thanks. It might be in the minutes. Under our agendas.
Yeah.
That would work, you know.
Yeah.
Just to share with you, what the commission's thoughts were on, chase a demo or order a new one. Our original thoughts were just like Doug was indicating, we're not sure what the demos are gonna be. It could be, the next demo could be a truck that totally doesn't fit our needs at all, and it's fine.
But then you wait for the next one.
Right,
Yeah.
so
Right.
the fire commission's initial thoughts were, let's try and chase demos maybe through the fall. And if we're not seeing one come available or one even come available that meets our needs, then let's start talking about ordering one.
So here's, I understand where you're coming
Because
from, right?
what we might run
Yeah.
into is that we're competing against everybody in the country. for these demos. So,
But that's why we're trying to have cash in your hand,
right,
right, is a possibility. Because if we do order one, now we're gonna be locked into an escalating cost at some point. We don't really know what that's gonna
we
be.
don't know.
We know it's been going up like crazy. And that means we have to put that cost on it now. Because we have to have a referendum. And if some reason that's not at the, you can't just say in October, we haven't found what we want. We're gonna go out and order one.
Sure.
Because now we have to come back, it would be more than 50,000, but
Yeah.
that's why we're trying to pick a number and say, here's a budget for what the truck should cost. A fair budget. And you find something coming off the line. If we know they're coming off the line for 1.7, it would be 0.8, right? That's what we're trying to do. Now, the other way is if we can order one, we have to really get the cash flow to say, well, we got to put, 2.2 on the referendum. And then you come back to us with what the actual number is, because we have to not come back for a whole nother vote. You understand? I mean, that's,
I understand.
Should get it all in number,
it would have to be an all in.
all in taxes, title transfer, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
when you buy something.
Fortunately, there is no taxes and there is no title.
And all I got from him is 1.8 million. And I'm not sure if that was the demo or if that was I'd have to call them tomorrow to get know what the truck is.
One of them was 178.
Well, let's just say it's 1.6, right? If you escalated that at 4%, now I didn't compound the 4% each year, I just did this 16%. You're looking at 256,000. If you back the 5% of 1.6 million is like, what is it, 80,000? So you're somewhere around 178, 170 something in escalation costs if you assumed prices were going to go up 4% year over year. If that's what you assumed. But don't forget, last year they're not buying materials. I mean, assuming the materials would be ordered and bought in year 2, right? I mean, do they give you that? Do they give you that idea? Because I mean, they can't say, well, in 2029 the materials are this much. Well, you started building the truck before we got it, obviously, so you've ordered the materials.
Yeah.
So all I'm trying to say is if the base truck was 1.6, I mean, back all that out, and if you want to do simple math, you'd be looking at like 1.73, 1.75. That's the simple math. You could say no, Richie, but if they said the truck costs 1.6, math doesn't lie.
I think 1.6 is a little bit light.
I'm just going by what you guys said.
Yeah.
I think you're close to 1.68 to start and compound it from there. But I mean,
So-
I don't know.
If we were going to put a number on it all in, I would say that if we're going to have a mechanism in place for the Board of Finance or actually the Board of Selectmen come back to do the final approval, probably going to have to start 1.7 and add what we think the escalation cost is, because we can't be off of that. Yeah. That was 1.7.
If you start at 1.7 and multiply it times
Yeah.
1.16, you come out to, oh, wait a minute, though, I didn't back out the 5%. Let me back out the 5%. Because they eat the first 5%.
Okay.
So
What was your estimate on then?
let's just say
Material.
inflation goes up. I mean, a
Yeah.
high number would be 4% a year, right? I mean, I think inflation's cooled
We're
off a
hoping,
little bit, yeah. So 4% over 4 years would be 16%. back to 5 out, so it'll be 11%. Now, we're not compounding
No, I was
it.
just saying not
I'm not
compounding,
gonna figure
yeah.
out compounding. I'm not gonna keep multiplying it, but just for a rough number. Too bad Brad was here.
So we're at 2 million.
No, we're under that.
No, because you have to know it's gonna compound. You have to have a little like, without
Well,
adding it, yeah.
No, I mean, well, what's 4%? Well, look, what's 1,887? So maybe, I don't know. But you gotta take the 5% off. So 1,9 you would probably be.
Given how fast these trucks are increasing in cost, it'd be hard to imagine that 1.9 would be the number, but if we're folks, perhaps we think it's just 200 grand in escalation costs. I mean, we could go with,
That's the one. What do you?
yeah,
It comes in less than we can give it back. It's
Well-
better to give it back than
well, yeah,
ask
because,
for it.
well, listen, if we're doing this, we are not looking to, we're not looking to spec this out to go over the amount.
Yeah,
That's the issue.
that's why it would have been nice if I know what your guys' spec was on the truck you wanted, because I have no idea.
So
I mean, that's, I mean,
the really where the rubber meets the road for the three of us is that are we more interested in setting a budget number now
Yeah, it's always.
and doing it, or do we want to push something down the road?
No.
Well, when do we have to have the number for the referendum?
Well, we're down to the wire. We have to pick a number.
Yeah, that's what I was
No,
asking.
we have to get it on the referendum unless we want to spend another 10 grand to a referendum this summer, which we can do that. But
You wanna know what was spec'd out on that truck?
on the truck that you did in order, what was the number, is what I
Oh,
want
was
to
the
know.
number or which?
How much was the number?
Someone's gonna call the dealer.
Because I don't want to just take a shot in the dark and
Yeah.
say,
I'm certain
Yeah.
the spec out truck was 1.68
That's what I remember.
and the demo truck was 1.72. That's the way it was.
I thought the
The
demo
demo
truck
truck
was
was more.
178.
I thought it was too, but
I thought it was
I know the demo
178.
truck was more, the
Yeah.
spec out truck was 1.68 and the demo was 1.7, so.
So I thought the spec out truck was more, because I thought that was the whole reason why we were talking about. you know,
Well, we took off a lot of stuff that we weren't gonna use, so that's why we had,
Yeah.
we're all gonna, we got rid of the foam.
Put it on the tables for 1 second while they find their stuff and we can move on to the next thing, just to save time.
we can do that.
Yeah, so we're gonna let you guys stay while he's talking to the dealer. We just want to get to the next item, just so we can keep moving.
Okay, so I think a motion we laid this discussion on the table.
Okay.
All in favor?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Actually, we can skip the next one, because I don't know that, well, actually, take it back. We have on here for discussion, consideration and discussion of recording all board and commission public meetings. We did not land on a full policy on this yet. We were talking about it, working on it still. Okay, so let's table that. We'll leave it under finished business.
Yeah, we actually have a draft policy that we have to.
Okay.
Finalize before we.
Motion table.
Yeah, Patrick, all in favor of tabling?
Aye.
And I'll make a motion to table the next item as well, the Bethel Service Award. For a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up is Wells Fargo property. So I know we've had some discussions about this. The issue is that the property is listed. It's listed at 1.4 million. It will be up for sale. I guess we can take our first walk through in mid-May. As I've tried to advocate for this, with respect to the growth in town, there's been no, I would say nothing there to allow for expansion of town services in our planning and conservation development. And with the amount that we're building and as fast as we're building, I think the Wells Fargo property offers an opportunity for us because it's contiguous with the library across the street from us, that if we do have expanded services at some point, we have an opportunity there for town property. The other opportunity I think it offers us is, in the planning and conservation development plan, it talks about looking for green space downtown and that we should be keeping an eye out for it. We could do something with part of that property along the edge or whatever to keep it green. We could lease out the building on the front. If we wanted to, we can keep the parking, which is definitely good for the library. But I'll say this is not just a parking issue. because we can add parking to the side of the building and we should. But the truth of the matter is, if you look at the development plan of town, since 2016, we have been moving with the Bethel Forward Plan and Plan of Conservation Development, which, like many things in those era, we're all dedicated to creating a TOD and discouraging parking downtown, discouraging cars downtown. And I think we're feeling the brunt of that. So having an opportunity for all of this in one property, I think is a huge opportunity. We've claimed that we've missed the thing, we missed opportunities on the other side of the building. We have no footprint to expand any kind of town service downtown. And I think passing this up is a huge mistake. And unfortunately, the timing is against us, right? Because we have other things that we need to do as well. But that would be, if we do decide to move forward with it, really that's going to be up to the Board of Finance to decide how and if we can do it.
Were they listing it with a commercial realtor? Is that what they offered to the town at?
Right now it's listed. Nobody's made any offers. There's a lot of developers interested. We haven't looked at making an offer. What we would have to do is come up with a number high enough to give us the room to do whatever we need. Right. And of course, if we do it, it would be subject to coming back to the Board of Selectmen and, ratifying a deal. Obviously, if we get into some bidding war over it, it might be something we don't want to do, but I think given the long-term opportunity for the town, looking out, 15, 20 years, we'd be really remiss to pass it up.
Right, I agree.
So I think my idea would be assign a number to it. Right now it's listed for 1.4. We know that the appraisal from the town side, just for the taxes, is 1.2. We bring in 25,000 a year of taxes on it. If we were allow it to be developed, like there are some who would rather developer just come in and develop it, we're probably going to end up with, 6, 8 residences there. And, that's going to eat up some of the land and some of the parking and definitely bring more services when we have an opportunity to hold something back to the town.
And
So
the only problem about
Yeah.
this too is that it have to be on a referendum type thing.
that's why we're talking about it now, because we would have to put this on the referendum in
Also.
April. This would have to be on April 23rd because we know that this is going to go in May. Now, the question is, but
Why would it not sell until May? I mean, someone could make an offer.
they can make an offer anytime. Yeah.
Someone can make an offer.
We've been told that when I talked to, I should say, emailed back and forth with I assume it was a listing agent. So at first we weren't sure if it was listed. We understand it's out there for 1.4. Developers are all showing interest that they're going to do the first walkthroughs in May. Doesn't stop somebody from doing it now. I think I'd be surprised if they accept an offer yet. That's why we're moving to have cash in place in May. They want me to do that on the April 23rd referendum.
Yeah, was there any discussion about we would have the first review?
No, because it's a California company. Now,
Yeah,
the other thing that's in this too is I did ask for a report based on our last discussion from P&Z, like what they think. It was introduced last week. They have 35 days to approve or not approve, right? If they don't approve it, then it would take 2/3 of a majority of town meeting to purchase the property. Otherwise, it's a simple majority. I don't know where it's going to come. I think there's a lot of support for it in P&Z, but then we won't know that for a little while. And we're allowed to continue by charter our ideas for financing it along the way, and then make a decision prior to the referendum.
I think you need to pursue all avenues.
So what number though? I mean,
We're going to have to listen. That's the issue. I mean, we can't in this body, nor should we, say what we are willing to pay for it outright, right? But we do have to assign a number, 1.6. I don't know, but enough that it keeps our position.
I understand.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I have to sell it all the time. I just don't
Yeah.
really feel comfortable going to 1.6 million. If it was that hot of a deal, there were so many developers interested. How long has it been on the market?
Hasn't. I mean, it just came on a week or so ago, or 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
We weren't even sure if that was the actual listing. Did we actually verify that online? If that was the actual listing? What he sent me said listing on it, but I don't know if that's been
Listing
released.
added today. Dated, the 8th.
Right, but that's the one I sent you, right? Have we verified that it's actually online listed anywhere?
You can look it up on Loop now.
Yeah.
So that would pull it up right away.
But we know that, but we know from what he sent over, that is what the listing is or will be, is 1.4. Could we get it from us? Possibly. Especially if the town wants it, I think we could.
They don't pay advance tax.
Don't pay advance tax, but, and you're doing something for a town. Knowing that,
And the buying it, isn't there something about conveyance fees that they don't have to pay?
yeah, they don't have to pay it, they don't think for this county, yeah.
Oh.
So we might, but at the same time, you know, because we're
But
picking
you're
up.
showing your hand if you say, oh, we're willing to pay 1.6.
Yeah, because we do need to give ourselves the ability to negotiate. And so I think, you know, you have to have a high enough number to know that, you know, it's somewhere in, you know,
Between,
between 1 million and 1.6. And it has to be then, you know, come back to the discretion of the board of selectmen to
did,
ratify the purchase.
did you pursue, what a rental might bring in on that building?
No, I mean, but we know, no, we haven't gone that far into
I
it
was
because,
just curious, you
yeah.
know, and then that pay off.
we know that if we've leased it out for a number of different things. By the way, there's opportunities through the library during a working space or a coworker space. There's, again, right now there are service things we could do with it. That may even bring revenue. Or we lease it out for a period of time to know what we're gonna do with it long term. The point is, you know, we may not have all the answers right now. We're preserving it for the town. Because
online
it's-
for 1.
What's that?
It's online for 1.
It is online for 1.4. So it's still not online. So. So the question is, do we put a higher number on it to give us some negotiating power? And then we negotiate when we have the opportunity.
In my feelings is I wouldn't go to 1.4 for that piece of property.
We have any idea what the property next door went for?
I don't have that, no.
Well, all completed, all those buildings. I believe so, it's right around 5 million,
Yeah.
point something. But that was all brand new buildings,
Yeah,
fully rented, you know. Let's sold for 5 million.
So I really do think we should put a higher number on it. So it gives us a negotiating position when the time comes.
I think that higher number kind of destroys your negotiating position.
How so?
Well, if I'm a seller and I look at the town's approved 1.5 million in referendum, obviously you really want it, you know, why am I gonna? No, this is the price, take it or leave it. We don't care.
Well, then we leave it. But if we go at 1.4, then everybody just can come easily at 1.4 and $1 or whatever, and we're dead in the water.
I think if it was that good of a deal, you would have had an offer on it already.
Maybe. For all we know.
They might have.
I believe that, you know.
Maybe.
I thought you said there were no
Oh,
offers.
we don't know. We don't know if there's, we know.
I thought you said
No, we
the
know
realtor
people are
said there were no
considering it.
offers.
No, we don't know. I mean, I could call the guy tomorrow and ask, is there an offer? Then we do a special meeting on Friday then. If
Look,
we're going to
look,
do it,
you-
we got to
you-
commit and get on the
You
referendum.
guys could do, I would not feel comfortable at 1.6 million. I just wouldn't.
I don't want to spend up to 1.6 million. I'll put 2 million on it. What I want is to preserve our negotiating position that, you know, we are willing to negotiate, but I don't want to put 1.2 and then all of us, we don't have 1.4 and we don't have a shot at it.
My point is,
Yeah.
you know, commercial guys are gonna offer what they're gonna offer. It's all number based.
Yeah.
What's the return on their investment? What can they do with the property?
Right.
You know, we're the town. We're looking at it for parking and whatever. So,
Future expansion of town services.
You guys don't need me to agree with the number of 1.6
No,
million.
no.
You guys can vote 1.6 million. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine. I
Well,
can't,
and I'm not-
I can't stop it.
But what we're trying to do, Brian, but Brian, I want you to be very clear is that I'm not saying we want to pencil.
No, I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah.
understand. I
We- we
totally
can-
understand.
You can't say, you can't say,
Yeah.
we're willing to negotiate up to 1.6.
But just remember, if the number's too big, right? There's a chance it goes down in referendum if the number is not.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
realistic. You know, you
I
put a
know.
number of 2 on it, most people in town are gonna go, no, what are they doing? You know, so, I mean,
I agree with you. That's why we're having this discussion.
Yeah.
What's too high, what's too low? Because I do think we're gonna have to put forth a number if we want to do it.
if it's even available at that point.
Yeah.
Which, you know,
It might not be.
If it's not, it's not.
All right.
If it's not, it's not.
I'll make
You
the
know?
motion that
Okay.
we, go to the Board of Finance to appropriate 1.6 by the Wells Fargo property.
Second. And I think I'll amend that, well, actually, the Board of Finance will appropriate, they'll determine what they.
Yeah, how,
That's fine. Okay.
whatever. we're-
Any further discussion if we put forth 1.6? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Show one opposition. So turn again. Motion passes. Okay. We're here.
you guys have a number?
1.78,
1 point what?
1.7.
For the truck that you
That we
expect.
expect out.
Okay. And the one that came was just shy, a little bit less than the one that came off the.
Yes. And he's gonna call me tomorrow. The truck's still there for April and he not unsure if there's gonna be another one in May. He's gonna start doing his
That's fine.
due diligence of
Oh,
hoping.
what was the one that's there now? How much is that one?
That was the 120,
7.8.
the 1 point, no, it's a
Or
little
the-
bit.
Oh, the one
Less,
was like
yeah,
169 or
yeah.
something, or 68. Okay.
That was the one that he came in with the book and everything.
We're not gonna make that one.
No, I think we don't.
And you're not gonna make that one.
We're not gonna make that one, but he's saying there might be one available in May. He's
Yeah.
gonna start looking tomorrow and see what's gonna be available in May.
So the question is, do we want to just put both things on a referendum, see where they go? At a number, or do we want to like order something and then face the higher cost long term? I mean, I think it may take some creative financing. I think we can do it. Talking to Brad, but the Board of Finance would have to do it.
To order it or buy it? both at
To buy
the
it.
same
If we were
time?
gonna buy that in the, really, we're talking two things. We're talking the property, we're talking that. We definitely can do it, well, if we have to, or we can wait. But now we're looking at an increased cost of whatever in 4 years.
I mean, it depends how they,
Yeah.
they word the referendum. You can do them individually, you can combine the two.
That would
Uh,
kind of be up to the Board of Finance.
Yeah.
On how we want to handle
how it happens.
it. And by the way, either or both of these could fall off by the time they get there. We're just recommending them
Yeah.
to get them done. What do you guys think?
I guess the risk is going to referendum right now on the fire truck and we say it's the 1.78 for a demo. If it passes and the demo is 1.82, the one we find, now we're back to the drawing board.
Well, we're also establishing a budget.
Yeah.
They can go with it, they can go without a Pierce and they can
Yep,
go to
right.
ECI, ESI, ABC, whatever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna do that tomorrow. It's
I
also
mean, what's
fall.
your,
Yeah.
what's your?
I feel like, I mean, my personal opinion is we're at this point where we know around what it should cost.
Correct.
Which we think 1.8 now is what it's gonna cost.
Yep.
I say, give them a budget, go find a truck.
Okay.
Because otherwise we are gonna be spending more over some years and we're gonna keep kicking the can down the road. When we know what it's gonna be now, and then we work with the Board of Finance to prioritize and see if we can buy both things. If we can't, we run for the hills.
My,
Yeah, go ahead.
my only concern is if you say 1.8, go find a truck.
Yep.
Is if we find a truck and town B finds the same truck and
Yeah.
we're competing against all these towns. What happens if we keep losing? You know,
Well,
to the next, you
if
know,
literally you keep losing, then yeah, we'll have to reevaluate the year.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
we'll,
there's nothing's
yeah.
guaranteed. We find a truck and we
Yeah.
get that truck. I mean,
Yeah.
like they said.
but here's the thing too, listen, we're trying to be fair, we're trying to put out a really reasonable number. That
Yeah,
there
no,
are
I-
all
I-
kinds
yeah,
of trucks
yeah.
coming off the
Right,
lines right
but I mean,
now.
Yeah.
the truck,
For 1.8, you should be able to do
the
it.
truck that was available in April, has someone bought that truck?
Well, it hasn't hit
It hasn't hit the market yet.
Yeah.
It's not been available yet.
So then how are we gonna be able to get it?
Well, I'm not saying we're gonna be able to get it because our referendums that the.
No, the truck that you guys brought to us,
Right.
that was a
Our
hot deal.
salesman was willing to travel out to Wisconsin and sit in the office on April 1st, the day that truck is released to the market, with a pen to sign the contract, saying that Stony Hill wants it and they have guaranteed funding.
That's what we need is the guaranteed funding.
Which we wouldn't have had because we didn't have enough time to
Yeah,
go over it.
that's
Right,
what-
right.
Well, that's what we learned that night.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause it came so quick.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. That was my.
Right. So we know that.
But how do you know there's not 20 other towns that are gonna send a salesman out there?
We don't. That's the point. I'm
The
trying to
last
make.
one that went out was somebody just pressing enter on a keyboard. It wasn't,
Right. I
They
mean,
weren't in
that's the point I'm
Wisconsin,
trying
it
to
was
make
a
to you.
dealership,
is
he says,
We're not guaranteed.
I can beat that 20 seconds of a computer lag. And he says, I'm willing to fly out to Wisconsin. Are other dealers willing to do that? I don't know.
That's why if we pick a budget and we have cash in hand, then you have the opportunity to find a truck off the line somewhere. That's close to what you're looking for. Otherwise, we order a truck for 1.8 and it escalates to 2.
All right, Dan, I'll make a motion. I'll spend all the money tonight. I'll make a motion that we appropriate or send to the Board of Finance, appropriation of 1.8 for the new, fire truck for Stony Hill. And then it's up to them to either buy the new truck, order it for 4 years, or try to find the demo for the.
So,
1.8.
I can't second that totally.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm
You
at-
can't, you can't have
Making
either.
a vote,
You
making a
can't-
vote,
you can't have both.
Yeah, so,
appropriate 1.8.
yeah, with the understanding that that's the budget for the truck.
Yeah, that's the budget.
For a demo truck.
Yeah, for whatever they can find, used, demo. Now, not ordering that's gonna go above that, because we don't wanna go back to referendum.
We're talking get a truck in the next 12 months
Find a truck.
from the referendum.
Yeah.
So are we setting?
And if we're really good, you guys will go find a good one, a good used one for 1.6. That's everything you want on it. They have those, you know. That's how a lot of towns get started.
I'm all for that too, and
Yeah.
I will.
So I know right before this, there was a 2022 out there for like 1.5, 1.6, and you just missed it by a hair, but it was available.
Yeah, that was a platform truck. That would
Yeah.
have been good for Beth. That would have replaced the truck that they have.
Yeah.
It was an exact replacement for the truck that they have.
Okay. So if we do this, the understanding is you're gonna find a truck for 1.8 or lower. There is no extra. It has to all come in under that. Tax title,
Not to exceed.
the bow they put on the top of it, not to exceed 1.8. I'll second the motion and we'll continue discussion. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, I mean, it has to make it through Board of Finance.
has to make the
Yeah.
Board of
You
Finance.
know, it's gotta make it through the Board of
And it
Finance.
has to make
Are
the
we
vote.
setting a length of time of looking for a stock or used or?
We actually haven't set the time to be done within a year, but if you come back and you can't do it, then we'll have to figure another option. But right now, I mean, should we amend the motion and say within the next year?
Is 12
Within the
months a
budget.
realistic time frame to do this? I would hope so.
Yeah.
That's more realistic. I was thinking.
We did it in 10 minutes last
Yeah,
time.
because
Just to be clear,
Yeah.
your motion is to get either a stock truck or a used truck for 1.8, not to build a truck.
Not to build a truck for 1.8, unless you can build a
Unless we
truck.
can build-
Unless
we
you
can build
can't
a truck
find
for 12
anything.
months.
If you can find
Well-
something off the lot or buildable for 1.2,
With no
Right.
escalation
Yes, because that's
costs.
the problem is if we go to build, then we would have to incur those costs of increase in material costs.
Listen,
Right.
Yeah.
And we can't do
Or,
that.
I
you gotta go
really-
back and build the truck for
I really
1.5 and then use the escalation money.
Right.
Well, at 1.8, I mean, you can't have escalation. I mean,
no, you
you're
have to buy it
taking-
off,
you're taking a huge
That's
gamble.
it.
you're buying it right off the lot.
But what I'm saying is, give yourself 12 months Cause I don't want to get into this frenzy at month 5 and you buy something just because you're gonna run out in a month. And you think you gotta buy this and it wasn't a good fit, you know?
Yeah.
The more time we give you, the better it is for you. Okay, because it gives you time, you know, I know, you know, my whole life I've heard, you're never gonna find this deal, you're never gonna hear this. Guess what? There's good deals every month. Somewhere in the country, some manufacturer, some used truck is gonna come up. Make sure you get something that's gonna be useful, so give yourself to 12 months. Well, why would you wanna limit yourself to 5 months or 4
Oh,
months?
whether I have 1 month or 12 months, I'm not gonna buy something that's not.
Right, but what I'm saying is, it just gives you time
Something else,
to find
not an impulse
something,
buyer.
find something that is.
Yeah,
It's not like the money's gonna get taken away from you because we're waiting 12 months. I'm just saying, go with the longer time frame to pick a truck.
just, all right, just to clarify for the fire commission standpoint, I'm just, if we don't end up finding a demo stock unit or use something, and we decide to, okay, we're gonna build something, and we're gonna build it, say it's 1.5 today, and we figure the escalation costs gets us in under 1.8 in 4 years, that's okay too?
Well, it would
As
have-
long as it comes
It
in
would
under
have to be,
1.8.
it would have to be guaranteed that the escalation cost doesn't exceed 1.8.
And this is where we go down a slippery slope.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I
Right,
don't
so,
like about
so
the new
I,
truck.
here's the way. No.
To Brian's point earlier, when you sign a contract, they're not gonna wait to year 4 to buy the equipment to build that truck.
Yeah.
There's no way if you guys go out and try to secure a purchase with that money, put the town on the hook, then we'd have to come, and if it's any more than that, it puts us in. a real
That I
pickle.
understand.
Yeah.
That I
Right.
understand. Yeah,
So,
but to Rich's point, yeah, no, they're not gonna, if we decide we're buying a brand new truck, they're not gonna go out and buy the
That's what I'm
parts and
doing
store
right
them in
now.
a warehouse for
Yeah.
4 years.
No, they got
They don't,
Oh, yeah.
they can't.
so Richie, I'd like
they
to
sell
amend the motion.
hundreds
Okay, you
hundreds
want-
of trucks every month.
I'm gonna amend the motion, okay? So, we recommend to the Board of Finance to appropriate 1.8 million for a used or stock ladder truck purchase within the next 12 months, contingent on final approval of the Fire Commission and the Board of Selectmen. That means when they get whatever it is, we do one last pass through, just say, okay, yeah,
And,
that's it.
and you don't wanna say a new truck, but the
No,
1.8.
well, the new truck, the stock ladder truck is a new truck. I said used or
Yes,
stock.
user stock, something that's built.
That's new. New off the line, not to order one. Because we could. I don't want to go back.
We could get in big trouble, Richie, if they say, oh, we found one for 175 and they order it. And at the end of the day, it comes in at, 1.9. That's
Yeah,
not, that's
well,
not good for
my
us.
comment before to them, they would have to back off, they would have to order a truck for 1.5 and then to allow the escalation, they,
If you can find a truck for 1.5, you'd be finding a stock truck for 1.5. Yeah, I can do, unless you go with another company.
I think
Yeah.
they're looking for a used or a stock truck for one,
Okay.
what'd you say, 1.8?
I said 1.8.
okay.
I think we should be able to find one within the
Yeah,
next
I think
year.
we should leave it over at 1.8 and I will.
It may not be a Pierce, right? I think there might be some disappointment out Stony Hill over that, but, there's plenty of
Yeah.
fire trucks that get the job done.
You go down to 1.5 and then I'll guarantee it's not. theirs. Would you rather have a chance or?
No,
All right, so I'll read the motion one more time for you, Mary.
Please.
Okay. We're recommending to the Board of Finance to appropriate 1.8 million for a used or stock ladder truck purchase within the next 12 months. Contingent on final approval by the Fire Commission and the Board of Selectmen. So when you find one, you let us know ASAP, right? A quick special meeting, you thumbs up, we order. So that way the cash will be in hand, we'll be ready to go to finally get this on the road. Do I have a second? Actually, this was amending your motion. Do you accept? my
You
amendment?
amended my motion.
Yeah, do you accept my amendment? Friendly amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll re-second it. Any further discussion? I know it's a big thing, but we've been doing this for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition, so motion carries unanimously. All right. Next up, we have consideration of appointments to the boards and commissions. The only one that we have a name for is the Insurance and Pension Committee, which is, commission, which is for a Democrat appointment. And I've been given the name Myra Drucker for Insurance and Pension. She was actually spoke
She
last
spoke
night.
last
Yeah,
night.
she
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Now, I spoke with Ms. Drucker today. All I can say, I think she's been on the Board of Pensions for Boeing, GE.
Yeah,
I mean, she's a heavyweight who has kind of retired, and we would be so lucky to have that kind of experience here.
Now she sits on
Numerous boards. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, she wants to do a little bit less, but this is in her hometown. She loves the idea of getting involved in something a little bit and help her.
Yep.
So with that, I move that we appoint Myra Drucker to the Insurance and Pension Commission for the remainder of the current term, which I don't have that right now, but we'll.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It carries. New business. As if we didn't feel like we had new business. First off, there's a consideration of acceptance of bid for the sidewalk improvement on Durant Avenue and Wooster Street for the award of community connectivity grant. Mary, do we actually have the bid?
You guys don't have to stay. if you don't
Yeah,
want to.
we're done.
not
with that.
going back
You guys
to
don't
the
want
fire
to.
department. You're
Yeah.
welcome
Yeah.
to stay, but you don't have to stay.
I knew you had a vacancy in the fire commission. If you had another name for that.
We do, but I haven't contacted him yet today. We have one other gentleman who's shown interest. And we play phone tag. I guess he's back in town. So as soon as I get a chance to talk to him, we'll move along.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then what you have in your packet, mark for the asterisk.
Got it. Okay.
Mary?
Okay, so the community connectivity grant's been out there for some period of time. The town actually has an award right now for $349,000. The bid we have right now, is for $140,214.50. This is to do a portion of the, sidewalk improvement on Durant and Wooster. Like I said, if you look here, this came from the state, William Champagne, who actually administers the program. And they have gone out, and the lowest bidder was TD and Sons Incorporated, which is who they recommended.
So the bid price was what? $114,000?
What, $140,214. $142.1450. What's interesting to know though is the actual grant we have is $349,000, which we will have an opportunity to do other things around the area. But this is what they have for this particular part of the Durant Avenue and Worcester Street sidewalk. So I would move that we accept the bid and award the contract to TD Sons Incorporated for the amount of $140,214.50.
Second for discussion.
Matching funds, or this is fully funded?
No, this is a fully funded grant, which is outstanding. I was jumping around looking for that the other day just to double check. And this one we're
OCR or capital required, we actually have.
Is this the one, Eric, where we had to sue some people to get permission or?
The section where we're pursuing the eminent domain proceeding,
Eminent, yeah.
take it out of this so that we can move ahead with the grant.
All right, so this is that area down there that,
This is everything around it, except for that block.
okay,
So we asked the grant people, if we can take that out so we can deal with the legal proceeding separately, move forward with the grant. And as Dan said, we have more than enough money as a cushion if there's any change orders. And even in the worst case scenario, to anticipate we'll still have more money left over, which, as I mentioned to Dan, I've spoken to the grant administrator for Conduct about what we could do with that. And there's a possibility to how much is left over, we could use that money to repair other nearby sections of sidewalk, or replace non-ADA compliant sidewalk ramps and so forth. Obviously, we'll see what the numbers come out to. But a lot of this.
with respect to the ADA part. Did we ever do, the town-wide ADA study? Have we ever done one of those yet? I mean, I know it's.
I'm sure we did over the years, but not
don't-
recent, not
My
really.
towns
We
have.
have, you can
Okay.
talk to Chris Baldwin, who's our
Yeah.
designated ADA.
Here, okay. We'll talk, yeah. It's come up at Westcog recently, and I was gonna talk about it
Yeah,
with them tomorrow.
I wasn't able to go, but somebody from Westcott had a game section.
It was yesterday.
Yesterday?
It was yesterday. I was on it.
Oh, yes, okay,
It
you were
didn't-
on, it, okay.
We're not showing up on the list. It's never having done it.
Yeah, I don't believe
But,
that.
so
You can
that's-
double check
it's
with
something
Chris,
we're
but
gonna
I'm pretty
push.
sure it's.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah.
I don't have any problem with this. I have just a quick question.
Yeah.
That sidewalk that was supposed to go from, Elizabeth Street to, South Street. Would this grant be available for that?
By the way, just for, see what we're talking about, the Elizabeth side, that thing, we're still having some challenges getting MTA to respond to what we've given them.
I can say qualitatively, yes, if the community does the project for what they've been and there's no cost overruns, and we have the remaining money, and we have something designed that's approved by DOT rail and the various DOT departments between South and Elizabeth Street, then in theory, if that was all ready to go, we could run it by these guys. I don't see why they wouldn't approve it, but
But
it's
right now,
it's kind of a long shot.
Yeah,
Well, right now,
I'm
the
just curious.
yeah,
That's
the
all.
other part of this is the developers actually looking to do the sidewalk.
Well, yeah,
for us,
and why
Well,
we do it,
yeah,
the developer's gonna do it.
which would be great,
Yeah.
but if we
Okay.
don't get there. Any further discussion on accepting the, awarding the bid? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would I be able to make a comment on the Wells Fargo property or would that be out of time?
Well, we've kind of already talked about it already. Is it okay by you guys? if we-
I don't.
I don't mind.
Okay, right, chair recognizes, Robert Wixler.
30 seconds.
I just wanted to throw out, because I think if I understand Brian's concerns, that if we're to go on record that we're setting aside 1.6 million, it would be easy enough for the seller to look in public record and see, oh, there's 6 million. So my question, maybe this is a stupid question, would it be possible or legally possible to make some sort of conditional offer? I don't know if that's worth looking into, where you would make a conditional offer to the seller, obviously conditional on a town vote.
Mhm.
Because if possible, if that was possible, I could see a scenario where you could possibly even sell it for some closer to 1.3. I don't know how much savings are that you mentioned to selling to.
It's probably 1.25% on conveyance
Yeah,
tax if
and
there's no conveyance tax.
They might be able to get their 1.4 and we pay less than 1.4. You know, whatever that difference is. You know,
So, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean,
That's
it is, I think it is possible if we do a conditional offer based on being approved by the entities here in the town. Because it's a referendum vote.
If the seller agreed to the conditions, obviously, but yes.
I just wanted to throw that
Yeah.
out. and maybe
Well,
have
what's
flexibility.
the recommendation to the Board of Finance, they can deal with it too.
Yep.
And
Well,
change the word.
Well, we can certainly.
we would
can
have to have
certainly-
an executive session.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, in retrospect, we probably should have discussed it in executive session.
Yeah.
We came out.
Well, I think part of this was taking a big enough number where,
I understand.
you know, that.
Yep.
you know,
I don't disagree with you. If you
We'll
can
do
do it that way, that's not a bad way to do it.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Next up. Okay, so, consideration of a town marketing strategy and approving, $10,000 from ARPA, our marketing plan for Bethel. So what you have in your packets is, information from a company called Golden Shovel. EDC and I have been in presentations with Golden Shovel, and they, are poised to do a marketing plan for the town. As you see, you can take a look at it. It's basically not only marketing to get people in town, but the businesses in town. They would actually set it up, and then over time, we would spend, the money doing social media. We have $5,000 in the EDC budget for the marketing social media. That's annual. But this would be actually setting up the beginning plan. I think it's a good move, because We have to do this stuff, I think, to market ourselves, get people downtown, get people coming to Bethel. But, putting it in your hands, what do you guys think?
We just funds for it then.
Yeah, and, because we have money in our budget to do the operation of the plant once we get done. It's in the EDC budget. of
With
5,000.
the EDCs and flavors.
Yeah.
We have everyone there for.
Okay, well, with that, then I'll put a motion that we approve $10,000 from ARPA for a town marketing strategy plan for Bethel in support of EDC.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nobody opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay, here comes the fun stuff. We're not, I don't think we're ready with the ordinances right now.
Only to report that we have been starting our review, and I have a draft of the tax assessment increase deferral ordinance, it's a
Okay.
mouthful, which I'm, and I'll tell you this process, as I'm going through these ordinances, I'm circulating them to the departments who are either implementing them or affected by them, to get their input to be sure that they are, if they're going to make sense when we go apply them as well. So
Okay.
we're going through that, and I also have a draft of the solid waste ordinance. So we're moving along, but I want to be sure that when we present them to the Board of Selectmen, we feel that they've been vetted and they really are ready
So-
to pass along.
So we go ahead and just talk about what the solid waste one is, just so everyone understands, and just put it out, because we don't have to push those today. Anytime we change ordinances, as you know, it's pretty much a 2-month process. We have to have a public hearing, we have to have a town vote on it, and it has to sit for 31 days after before it becomes effective. With respect to the solid waste ordinance, we've had enormous numbers, it seems like. Listen, maybe it's not enormous, but we get a lot of frequent complaints about garbage haulers in town. And the issue is that we have folks operating at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're waking people up. It's more prevalent, of course, in the fall and the spring when windows are open. But right now in our noise ordinance, there's a carve out for the noise regulations that allow garbage haulers to work in a residential area early, means 6 a.m. instead of 7. And they can work in an industrial area at 5:30 a.m. instead of 7. Unfortunately, a noise ordinance is very difficult to enforce because it's all based on noise amounts and having a noise, decibel meter to go out and say, oh yeah, we caught them at this. So not only do we not buy decibel meters for our police departments, we also then would have to, I guess, have them calibrated. Unless you have something, I don't know how you guys did it in Ridgefield, but
That's the noise order. We had a noise meter
yeah, noise meter.
and the decibel was
Yeah.
set.
Listen, I've been told this from the cops that that's very hard to enforce. So Ridgefield does something they have in their, I think it's their solid waste ordinance, where they just say it's unlawful to operate before 6 a.m. What I'm proposing is we update our solid waste ordinance to do something in line with those same carve outs. So what it would say is you can't operate a garbage hauler prior to 6 a.m. in a residential area, 5:30 a.m. in a industrial area. And I also go in and I add the difference between or we should add a village center as a residential area, because that's a different zoning,
Yeah.
right? And RT6, which is our zoning along Route 6, is really residential. So those would be 6 a.m. as well. The reason the solid waste ordinance is the place to put this is that's where all the regulations are for the garbage haulers. And, with HRRA, if we get complaints, then they can get a $100 fine. But if they keep repeating it, then the town has the ability to suspend the permit. We can suspend it for a week, we can suspend it for a month, whatever. If they're, and I'm hoping that, there's only a few that are, we can call them up and we say, hey, stop it. And then they start diverting somewhere else. But we have one in particular that will not stop. We've asked. And that would be somebody we would just say, listen, we're not going to release permit. We're going to revoke it. So that's the general gist of it. So I really don't know if there's anything else that we presented. We'll actually present you the ordinance when we get finished, Melanie. And the other one on here is for just consideration of repeal of the dumpster ordinance. We have a dumpster ordinance where we're supposed to be charging anybody who gets a dumpster $20. We don't do it that often unless it's a contractor, like a contractor doing a permit, right? It's hard for us to do. it's kind of a pain down the building. They've recommended that we just get rid of the ordinance. And that way we wouldn't be, running around trying to collect $20 every time somebody uses the dumpster.
Well,
Yeah.
Melanie, when you look at that, was there something at one time that there was a fine if someone kept a dumpster in their yard for a year or something like that?
I haven't really reviewed this one, but,
I don't remember seeing that.
verification, the permit can be revoked if they fail to use the dumpster. I don't see actually a
Yeah.
sign,
Okay,
a
all
fine
right.
for
I
having it
thought
sit
maybe it
around.
was something else.
That could be, would that be in the blight ordinance or something, maybe? Right? Not that we're.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll look it up.
But you're right, sometimes they seem like a constant fixture. They don't.
Yeah.
It
Um,
just says, well, it does say upon the permit of expiration that the permit holder is supposed to remove it or cause it to be removed. So, but the enforcement of that, I don't see any fine for that. So
okay. So those were just for discussion at this point. I don't think we're ready to move forward right now.
we're working on them, but we want them to be good.
Yeah.
So that they're
Any thoughts on that?
finalized.
Wait till next time.
I personally, I mean, I understand it bothers some people,
Mhm.
but personally, I think it's better that these garbage companies operate early in the morning prior to 6 a.m. rather than when kids and school buses are hitting the roads and, creates safety and traffic issues. If you have them start at 6 a.m., you're pushing them right into rush hour, right into bus traffic time.
Mhm.
Now, buses are either going to be behind garbage trucks or passing garbage trucks or cars are going to be, I don't know. I mean, my neighbor's trash gets picked up at 4:30 in the morning, I don't get upset about it. It's like, I'd rather have them there than
Understood.
when the kids are standing at the school bus and, you have trucks coming in and out. I think it's much safer.
When you talk to the garbage haulers, that's their rationale,
Yeah.
is to avoid the school buses.
I think it's more the
Yeah.
dumpsters where like the old front end loaders, they
Mhm.
pop it back and forth to get the stuff out of it.
Yeah.
And that's more probably
Yeah.
the commercial or a large
Well,
residential area. that they might
Ironically,
get mixed up.
one of them that has had a number of complaints is somebody who doesn't use the big hydraulic stuff. And they're just picking up the trash and they're literally throwing it in the back of their thing and people are waking up and complaining. Because it's 3:30 in the morning. They get woken
Yeah,
up
but
and, and that
you
might be,
just throw it in the back. I mean,
Yeah,
we
but if-
think it would, maybe when they compact.
listen,
Yeah.
it's, well, I don't know if you're using a compactor then, but the issue is like you do have people who complain. That's why I think they've been set. Like they were given the carve out till 6 a.m. and 5:30 because they want them to get out earlier. But how early is too early?
Yeah.
I've been debating this with somebody that we all know and love. And it's one of these things like people do have the right to enjoy the property in their sleep. They have somebody coming around and by the way, we're going to be facing the same thing down the line with Amazon someday too. They're delivering in the middle of the night. They're getting people's dogs.
Middle of the night, yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Question is, it's something we have to decide as a body. By the way, we don't have to decide this tonight, right?
No, I mean.
Yeah.
I personally don't have an issue with
Yeah.
garbage trucks picking up trash. Maybe 3:30 in the morning is a little early in a residential
Yeah.
neighborhood. But, 4:30, something like that, it just keeps them off the road, which,
I understand.
I know when I get stuck behind and I'm leaving, for work very early. And when you get stuck behind one of those trucks that, is picking up the cans, I mean, there's some real bad spots and it just,
Well, maybe that's the question we have. How early is too early? I think 3:30 is absolutely unacceptable. But
I'm not just.
maybe we do, move it. Do we do 5:30? I mean, we can do I believe we can do whatever we want with that. I know, like I said, Ridgefield said theirs at 6 for everything. Most of the HRRA stuff is like us, has to carve out with those times.
I mean, I gotta be honest with you, I never enforced it once. I mean, it was
Yeah.
really hard to,
It's hard to enforce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you know, for us, it was, when I was there, it was based on noise. So it was very difficult. Based on.
Well, that's why I'm doing this. Or I should say, that's why we should do this. I'm recommending this. I'm not.
Well, that you're gonna have to have a public hearing on the changing of the ordinance.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll get feedback
We'll get feedback.
from the public.
Yeah.
Feedback.
And by the way, I'm sure we'll have people there who want to support the.
And you'll
guys,
have
so
the
we
garbage
say,
people there too,
you know,
probably to speak on
Do it
your
at 3:30
behalf.
and, yeah. I definitely think we should at least do that much because we do get a number of complaints. You know, people being woken up 3:30, 4 in the morning, you know, and that sucks. I mean, my wife wakes, if my wife's getting woken up at 4 a.m., she's not happy because she can't go back to sleep. America, sit to your property.
Well,
I'm just,
technically, are they on your property when they're picking up trash? If it's your neighbors, they're
well, it
on.
depends.
I mean.
No, I know.
What I'm saying is
Well, I know,
like,
but you
you
should
know,
be able to
and
enjoy your
it's-
sleep.
I understand.
Yeah.
I just like.
Yeah.
You know, and it'd be interesting to know what some of those are coming from. Are they coming from condos associations and things like that?
We definitely have one on Route 6 that goes in at the the condos in here, the trash getting picked up at Maplewood. Which, by the way, if you look at the noise ordinance itself, you're supposed to avoid those kinds of places. You know, at nighttime hours. So that's one of the complaints up there, constant, about a particular company that's going up there in Maplewood. Yeah, we get them in our neighborhoods. I really haven't heard anything downtown. Maybe they understand they're downtown.
I believe over on, where the lumber company is, Taylor Road, there was complaints from some of those people.
Taylor Ave.
Taylor Avenue.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, one of my rentals, they picked the dumpsters up early in there. We got some calls, but not a big deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, now they're like 6:30.
But I think that was an area years ago that was some complaints.
Yeah. Well, listen, if they're getting at 6 o'clock, I mean, that's
No, I get it.
more reasonable. So we'll have more to come on that. So let's move along. I recommend we approve the tax refunds. Excuse me. I make a motion that we approve the tax refunds in the amount of $3,009.81 to those pay my taxes. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. No opposed, motion carries. So next up is really just for discussion at this point. I don't believe we have to act on it tonight if we don't want to, but we heard obviously last night. You know, we number one, we definitely have to repair our tennis courts, but of course the pickleball folks were out in the storm, you know, with that too, because they do play on those courts as well. I've seen a picture of these about 3 weeks ago. And I knew they'd been kicked down the road a bit. I didn't understand 6 years. And they were awful. And I've been told by the Board of Education that if we can't fix them this year, there's a good chance we won't have a tennis team next year because we can't afford to take them to other places and give them all that. So I think at some point we're going to have to fix that tennis court.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could do it for cheaper than 500 for sure.
Yep.
I mean, you know, I'd really like to see the scope of work.
Okay.
You know, there's definitely some ways, you know, I know replacing the fence was one of them, but you know, is it really necessary to replace the
So
fence?
right now we have a quote for what, 478,000. And in that quote, it talks about the fence. The fence is $8,000 to take it out. And it's 71,000 to put up the new fence. There might be a way to do it, but I think part of it too is the new fence has a wider opening where it actually we can get in and blow out the courts and service them and all that. But we might be able to do something with that. But you talked to Gordian.
I talked to the one person that gave us an actual quote. It was a large quote. It was actually a bid. So what it would be doing is it would be reclaiming the current asphalt. So they would have to completely remove the fence in order to get to all the edges. And they pretty much said they would want to replace it with a fence in order to guarantee the work for a year versus re-putting in a fence that they took out. Because you don't know what's going to come out like when they remove it. Again, this is coming from them. So
Right, but why couldn't you create a small border, you know, take a foot on each side of the fence and you gravel it?
I think,
And-
well,
and-
there's-
I
go
mean,
ahead.
you don't, if you're gonna make a border, it's not that expensive to do board. And look, I'm not gonna get all into the all details.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is we got one bid from one person.
And I've tried to get other bids. One company only does post-tension concrete, so not even bothering the $850. I've reached out to multiple people. They, like, I'm stalking them now to get bids. I met with somebody in September that told me in 2 weeks they'll get me a proposal, and stalked him every single month and had nothing. And these are the people that did the ones in Southbury. So getting proposals has been difficult. The people that we got an actual proposal from are the people that did our lobby, Gordian, PMP Construction, and they did a broad proposal, which really plotted out each and every aspect. It was cheaper than the original proposal that Eileen had gotten through back in 2022, possibly, when she got the asphalt rebuild and the post-tension rebuild. My only suggestion, because I know it's a bone of contention, I would just say tennis court redo in the verbiage versus tennis/pickleball, because really technically we're lining pickleball lines on tennis courts. They're not pickleball courts. And I think sometimes it gets confusing. I think when people see pickleball courts, they're thinking we're putting pickleball courts in. And it's a very,
We're doing tennis
Grass
courts with
different.
pickleball lining.
Does one of the school gyms have a
the
pickleball?
middle school, when they
Middle school.
redid their gym, put in 6 courts. But which people don't realize, pickleball has been huge in middle school PE for decades,
Right.
prior to it even becoming popular in the Northeast. So they have 6 pickleball courts on there, which was extremely smart of them to do.
Are you able to play all 6 courts at the same time?
Yeah.
We thought about possibly Parks and Rec creating a program to,
Well, here's
you
my,
know, I mean.
Yes, we have.
it-
We discussed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
But when,
the problem is most people that want to play indoors, Brian, want to play in the winter. And it's not a possibility in the winter because the gyms are booked. Like if we're not in the gyms, color guards are in the gyms or high school sports are in the gyms. And that's typically when people are looking to use indoor space for pickleball is in the time when space is not available. Like I could run pickleball in the spring in my gym. I could put 3 courts in, but nobody wants it in the spring because when it's nice out, you want to go outside and play. So
Right,
could
but
you?
if it's your only option at the time being, I mean,
But what I'm saying is it's not really an option in the winter.
no, I'm not saying in the winter. I'm saying, well, it's kind of tough to play pickleball unless someone's shoveling the courts and you want to be outside at 30-degree weather, 20-degree weather. I mean, I
Right,
know
but what I'm
Reading
saying is
Country Club
usually the
does
only
it,
time
but
people want indoor use
Right.
is actually when it's
And-
the hardest. for the
anyway,
town to-
I think we all agree that the tennis courts need to get
Yeah.
redone. We just want to find the most efficient and cost-effective way to do it.
Yeah.
That's all.
And I'm looking for, like, I've gotten one bid and the other bid was insane, so I'm not even
Now,
bothering.
part of that was like, you know, if we had one of our local companies reclaim it, you know, is that a possibility where they reclaim it? Because I believe, what is it? You reclaim it, you lay asphalt, and then there's a top on that.
there's 2 layers.
Right. I mean, if we had a local company do the first part of the project, then have the experts come in and lay.
Well,
top, would that be-
we've talked, listen, I don't know how they'll feel about it. We have our guys do it. Our highway department, they'll go out and reclaim it and put it back in. That's what they did in Southbury. I don't know if Gordian or BMP would be amenable to that, or if it's the same quality as what.
Well,
they
I
do.
think Southbury did the pickleball court. I don't know what those were.
This is a
additional-
tennis-
Well, this is all
tennis
for
court.
ton of.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
You know what I
anyway,
mean? Like, I think Southbury
we're all in
was-
agreement. We'll have to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it
The
some
problem
time
is
to
it's
see if we can
timing.
work with it.
Yeah.
Brian, it's timing, because if we don't have this on the books with somebody for late summer, early fall, it won't be possible to do it in the spring unless we close the courts and don't have spring sports on them.
So we have to make a decision at our next meeting. Whatever we're gonna do, we have to kind of just be ready to decide. Now,
Try your best to get.
I will
another
say this
price
too.
By our next meeting.
in the fact that we're looking forward, because we know we need dedicated pickleball courts too eventually. one of the possibilities I've discussed with Highway and was discussed with Park and Rec is that if we took the old skate park, which is next to Johnson, and we just went in there and had our guys pave it.
Mhm.
I say that because they're doing the middle school parking lot this year. It'd be the perfect time for them to go over and pave it. Then, put in the posts, we could put in the posts
That's
for
what Newtown
next,
did it.
that's how Newtown did it. Be very, very cheap.
Makes sense.
And they would get
It'd
dedicated.
be
to
easy.
all courts. And because, you know, I still think we line some of the tennis courts, maybe not all of them. But we also have to find out if the CIAC will allow pickleball to be lined. Right now they're doing it. Right now we have them lined, right?
Yeah, but the goal would be, if we get this, we would leave 3 tennis courts as tennis, and the
Yeah.
other 3, you can put 2 full pickleball courts on each side
Yeah.
of the tennis court. So we could have 6 dedicated
Right.
pickleball tennis courts on there, but I gotta make sure it doesn't affect their ability to host states and
Yeah.
things like that.
Did we used to have tennis courts up where the field house was?
Yep. And we never used them. I've been here 19 years now, and I don't think they were ever used, even when I was here.
How old were they?
Well, they were all in bad shape.
They were in bad shape, and
Yeah.
like lacrosse would use them, soccer would use them. I think at one point we pulled the poles and they used it sort of as just like a outdoor practice area. So yeah, if we didn't have the large track building and pickleball was big, I think that would have been an obvious spot for it. But behind Johnson is a great spot because a lot of times the town's noise comes up with pickleball. So putting it in a place that's surrounded by trees and not near residential areas tends to be where people are trying to put them now. Brookfield changed where their original spot was for the ones they're building to a more industrial area because of people worried about noise. Pickleball is a lot noisier than tennis.
Really?
Yes.
We'll just have to pass an ordinance. You can't play it.
They said it's like.
I'll watch the courts. I'll watch the courts.
For the noise meter,
I'll be the czar of pickleball.
we're gonna give you a noise meter. All right.
All right, yeah, we could.
Yeah, we'll say, all in favor.
Thank you.
tabling? Aye. And opposed, motion carries. Okay, so with that, I will accept motions.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, no opposed, none. We're done. It is,
All right.
6:42.
I told my wife it was a quick meeting.
I thought it was, not that.
I told